Have you ever wondered why sadness exists? Think about it. If sadness feels so uncomfortable, so heavy, so painful, then why would our minds be capable of experiencing it at all? Most of us spend our lives trying to avoid sadness. We distract ourselves, stay busy, scroll endlessly, or tell ourselves to just move on. We often treat sadness like a problem that needs to be fixed as quickly as possible. But what if sadness isn't a flaw in the human mind? What if it actually serves a purpose? Sadness is one of the most universal human emotions. No matter where we come from, every one of us experiences it. It can appear after losing someone we love, after a disappointment, after rejection, or even after the end of an important chapter in our lives. And interestingly, sadness isn't always connected to dramatic events. Sometimes we feel sad when a friendship slowly fades away. Sometimes when we realize we're no longer the person we used to be. Sometimes when a dream we've held onto for years doesn't become reality. At its core, sadness is usually connected to loss. Not just the loss of people, but the loss of expectations, opportunities, identities, and moments that mattered to us. And that's exactly why sadness exists. Because it points towards something valuable. Think about it. You don't grieve things that mean nothing to you. You don't feel heartbroken over something you never cared about. The intensity of sadness often reflects the importance of what was lost. In a strange way, sadness reveals what gives our lives meaning. Psychologist Robert Firestone once said, "When we feel sadness, it centers us." And perhaps that's because sadness has a way of bringing us back to what truly matters. This is why psychologists often view sadness differently from depression. Sadness is a natural emotional response to life. Depression, on the other hand, is a much more persistent and overwhelming condition that can interfere with daily functioning. Feeling sad doesn't mean something is wrong with you. In many situations, it means your mind is responding exactly as it should. But sadness doesn't just affect our thoughts. It affects our entire body. When people are sad, they often move more slowly. Their shoulders may slump, their energy decreases, their voice becomes softer. Even their facial expressions change in recognizable ways. Scientists have found that sadness is associated with changes in brain activity and nervous system functioning. In other words, sadness isn't something that happens only in the mind. It is a whole body experience. And this makes sense from an evolutionary perspective. Long before humans built cities, wrote books, or created technology, emotions helped our ancestors survive. Fear helped them avoid danger. Anger helped them respond to threats. And sadness may have helped them respond to loss. When someone experiences sadness, they often become quieter, more reflective, and more likely to seek support from others. Rather than pushing us into action, sadness encourages us to slow down and pay attention. It asks us to process what happened. It gives us time to adapt to change. And perhaps most importantly, it signals to others that we may need comfort or connection. But if sadness can be useful, why do so many people fear it? Part of the reason is that sadness hurts. And naturally, human beings try to avoid pain. The problem is that emotional avoidance often creates new problems. Many people try to escape sadness by staying constantly busy, distracting themselves, or refusing to think about difficult experiences. For a short time, this can feel effective, but emotions don't simply disappear because we ignore them. What is avoided is often carried forward. The sadness remains in the background, influencing thoughts, behaviors, and relationships in ways we may not even notice. There's another problem with suppressing sadness. Psychologists have suggested that we cannot selectively numb emotions. When we constantly shut down painful feelings, we may also reduce our ability to experience joy, excitement, love, and connection. The emotional system works as a whole. Trying to eliminate one part can affect the rest. This doesn't mean we should dwell on sadness forever. Healthy sadness is different from endlessly replaying painful thoughts. Healthy sadness is allowing ourselves to acknowledge what we feel without becoming trapped by it. Like a wave, sadness rises, reaches a peak, and eventually begins to pass. The experience may leave a mark, but the emotion itself is not permanent. And perhaps this is the most important thing to understand about sadness. Its purpose is not to destroy us. Its purpose is to help us adapt. It reminds us that something mattered. It helps us process change. It encourages reflection, and it reconnects us with what we truly value. So the next time sadness appears in your life, instead of immediately asking, "How do I get rid of this feeling?" maybe ask a different question. What is this feeling trying to tell me? Because sadness may not be evidence that something is wrong with your mind. It may simply be evidence that you cared. As the writer Antoine de Saint-Exupéry once wrote, "Sorrow is one of the vibrations that prove the fact of living." And sometimes, the reason sadness feels so heavy is because it stands where something meaningful once existed.